Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lucy. Welcome to my living room. So today I have the pleasure of interviewing my wonderful fiance because we often both get a lot of questions about our relationship, but we also get them about each other's mindset, both from Josh's clients about me, from kind of my team and my clients about Josh. We've got all the dogs. The other one's over there. I can sit back a bit now. She's moved. So we wanted to share with you some of the answers to those questions, and I think our relationship's quite unique.
Yes, I
I've
bet.
never been in a relationship like the one that we have. So hopefully today there'll be something in it that we share with you that you're like, whoa, maybe you can take it away for your relationship, or maybe actually it will just be inspiring information. So I would love for you, first of all, babe, for anyone that doesn't know anything about you,
Okay.
because again, there might be people listening to my podcast that don't know our story, don't follow us on Instagram. So I guess it'd be great to give a little bit of background about like what you do, what your thing is, who you are. Yeah, just share a bit.
Okay, so my thing is the gym. I am a, whatever you want to call it, gym rat, fitness fanatic, absolutely obsessed with training, but not purely because what it does for me physically, but mentally. Just gives me clarity and makes me very calm and chill, and it's just my place where it's just me and the weights and the fact that it's a continual progression on myself. That's why I love it so much. So I am in the gym a lot of the time, and I've now turned that into my career. So I'm an online coach and personal trainer. I do a little bit of personal training, not so much. Just do a day and a half at 100% gym in Boston. Just give them a shout out. Go 100% gym. And yeah, so I coach people from all walks of life, whether it's bikini and fitness competitions, males and females, lifestyle clients just wanting to get in shape for a holiday, or just genuinely wanting to feel more confident and just genuinely feel better in their skin and yeah, bring a better physique. So that's what I do. I'm also competing in bodybuilding shows.
I was like, you forgot the fact that you're a bodybuilder.
Yeah, and I'm a bodybuilder as well. So yeah, I compete in bodybuilding shows. It is now July, so whenever you listen to this, recording in July. And my last competition was in April, and the next one is yet to be decided.
Love it. So, and I think one of the biggest things that's unique about this relationship is the fact that, weirdly or not weirdly, I have dated bodybuilders since I was 19. So for me, Josh, being one of the biggest questions we always get is around what it's like to be with a bodybuilder in terms of like what it's like for them when they're in prep, what it's like when they're off season, like what, what's it like with them having to train every day. And the truth is, I don't really know any different. Like, I don't really, I don't know any different
What
because
is it like?
I think, well, so I'm quite an independent person, aren't I? Like, I like to do my own thing. I love to
Yeah,
work when I want to work. Like, so I think it works really well. I think the only time it's ever been, and not even a problem, but something to think about, is when we've had social stuff and you've been like close to a show in prep. And that
yeah.
hasn't happened that often because you're pretty smart at timing your shows. But, it will happen in the future. That's the reality of the bodybuilding scene because obviously you've come through the fitness model scene into classic bodybuilding, into bodybuilding. And the reality of the bodybuilding scene is sometimes it's not convenient. But to me, really, I think I don't really know any different in terms of like the behavior, the mindset. Are there things about it I find annoying? Yeah. The only thing that really bothers me is how much food that gets cooked.
I knew he was going to say
How
that.
much how much we have to clean that freaking kitchen is like,
I tidy up after myself.
no, you do, but it's more just like the constantness of it all. Like there's always a cooking, there's always, and obviously we're cooking for the puppy, whole other story, but he's allergic to grass and grains. And so even when dog kibble, side note, says it's gluten free and grain free, it might fucking not be. So basically we have been cooking for the puppy. So he's on a raw fed diet, but he also gets like sweet potatoes, veggies, salmon oil,
He's eating like a
butternut
bodybuilder.
squash.
He's
Yeah.
on the gains.
Starts brown rice tomorrow. We start brown rice tomorrow. So yeah, he's
He actually eats way better than a lot of people I know.
yeah,
Like way better.
exactly. So basically, I think that's the only thing that I find frustrating. That's probably the way I describe it. It's just like the constantness of the food. Because I'm not actually, might be surprised, I'm not actually a massive eater.
No, you're not at all.
Like, I like a nice meal, but like once a day. I'm so.
Yeah.
And do you know what that comes from? That comes from being someone who was obsessed with food in my early years from a disordered perspective, then somebody who got into the bodybuilding space quite young and for a long time was obsessive, then went on a massive health journey with food, so had to be obsessive.
Mm.
So now I don't need to be any of those things. I'm like, oh, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
I just can't be bothered.
Yeah. For example, if it was a meal made for you.
Oh yeah, if you cooked me, I ate it.
Yeah, it's just the whole doing it yourself, and probably because you've done it over and over again so many times, you just like, oh, I've had enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So we had some questions. So obviously we kind of touched on the bodybuilding one. So one of the questions was around, and actually I think we can both give an answer to this because we've both actually been on this journey. Is one of the questions was, what's it like, or what's the steps to transition from a personal trainer into a successful online coach? And we
yeah,
both made this journey, so I'd love to hear, I guess, your story first, because like you said, you very much started as a PT, and then I'll share a little bit about mine.
yeah. So my transition from personal trainer, busy personal trainer, gym floor to online coach, um, it really came about pre lockdown in 2020. Hate to bring it up, it's such a boring subject, lockdown. But it came about then really. I've been PTing in a gym, but I never did it full time. So I did my personal training in and around a corporate job as well. So I would work 6 till 6 days, and then I would finish the gym, and then I'll probably go PT in the gym for 2 or 3 hours and get home at 10 o'clock. So I'm just going to put it out. If anyone says, I know, I work this, I work that, but I also want to do my PT, also doing online coaching. There's going to be a period of time I'm probably going to have to do it all at once.
Hmm.
And I did that for a good few years before I transitioned. But for me, I always knew I wanted to go online. I used to get a lot of questions asked, can you coach me online? And I wanted to really solidify how I was as a coach to myself, because I've always coached myself. I wanted to make sure I always knew what I was doing, but I want to make sure, right, I know exactly what I'm doing. I definitely can pass my wisdom and knowledge on, if you like, to others online, because I've always done it in person. So it took me a while to actually figure out that I genuinely had the knowledge and capability to do it. And I think the transition from busy gym PT floor to online, my journey was I just started off coaching people that I knew in the gym, on the gym
Hmm.
floor. So I'd have a few PT clients, and I would say, "Cool, let me write you a plan. Let me sort of actually coach you on a week to week basis." And you just start with people on the gym floor, word spreads around, and then actually just announce yourself as an online coach. I think people are, oh, I don't know how to transition from PT to online coach. I'm like, just tell everyone you're doing it. People are going to want to sign up with you, because if they see you in the gym, it'll start with people on the gym floor. They'll tell their friends. And if you start posting things on social media or just simply talking to people about it, when people ask what you do, just like own it. To be like, I'm an online coach and personal trainer. And so I started doing that really. And then pre lockdown was when I left my corporate job, and I was like, right, I'm just going to go fully in online coaching PT. And then obviously lockdown happened, so there was no gyms available, so I couldn't actually personal train. So that was kind of the universe's way of saying, right, do you want to do this or not? Because I'm going to make you do it. So it kind of forced me to do everything online. And you always say this, that you always get what you're available for.
Hmm.
And I was clearly ready and available to be an online coach, because I just left my job. I didn't have obviously any furlough pay or anything like that, because I left 4 weeks later the gym shut, and then I still managed to, let's say, stay afloat online coaching, even though I've been doing it 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think if people want to go from a busy on the floor PT to actually doing some online coaching and just want to transition that, I would just start by coaching people that you actually personal train first, get some transformations under your belt, help some people. There could be friends, there could just be clients that you train for a while, and just start talking about it, just start posting about it, just own it, just announce yourself that you're an online coach. Nobody's ever going to know and come to you if you don't tell them. And I'll be honest, there's sometimes now where I probably won't talk about coaching on my social media for quite a while. I'm like, hang on, there's new people that are following me, watching, things like that. I need to actually talk about my coaching, as people don't know.
Mm, defo. I mean, my story is a little bit different because I actually was coaching before I left my full time job, but
Mm.
I wasn't personal training. So it was almost the opposite. Like I'd been prep coaching for probably 12 months before I left my corporate job. And then at the point I left my corporate job, I then added in the personal training element on a gym floor. But transparently and truthfully, I only PT'd on the gym floor for about 9 months, because in my network marketing business that I'd also started at the same time, and this is when people say to me, oh God, it's this or this. I'm like, babes, it's and like you just said, there will be periods of crazy, there'll be periods of chaos in life when you want to transition. So I actually built my network marketing business to a point that the money I was earning from PT, I was actually earning that from that business.
Yeah.
And because I knew I always wanted sounds cliche, but like a virtual business, I knew time flexibility, location flexibility. I had Jasper, the pooch. Then, like, it mattered to me where I was and when I was. And so I made that decision then to stop PTing. So I wasn't a PT for very long, but what then I went on to do was, because I then had the financial support of my network marketing business that's simply based on recommending products, share those products, people buy them again and again. I had that going on in the health and wellness space as well. It was a natural fit. But what then happened is it allowed me the emotional space and energy to build my coaching business to a six-figure business. And I kept that business until 2020, October 2020. So in April 2020, I promoted to the top level of my network marketing business. And I made the decision at that point, financially, we were, in to use Josh's words, well, all right. So I was like, right, what do I want to do? And I knew that at that point, I'd reached a point, I was talking about food earlier, that I've just found this place of just like wanting to be well, wanting to be healthy. And, it's really reached an amazing place this year in 2023. But I just didn't feel like I could continue to prep coach and help people get mega shredded and mega lean and help girls do that whilst I was on the opposite journey. Yeah. And so I really had to kind of unlearn a lot of things. And so I made the decision to step more into the mindset coaching. And I was in a position to be able to basically let that business go financially. So I think all I would ever say to anyone is nothing has to be permanent. Like if right now you're a personal trainer and you're afraid because you're like, I've always been a personal trainer, don't allow limitations to hold you back from the things that you want and desire. But at the same time, don't be one of those people that, I think I've seen way too many personal trainers go fully online when there is a massive fucking market for people who want in-person personal training. Like I said this about my Pilates a while ago.
This is why I still do it.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what I said a while ago. Like I started Reformer Pilates a couple of months ago. And as someone who has a lot of gym experience, like I've been exercising, working out, doing classes, whatever, personal trainer, fitness instructor, since I was like, for like 20 years almost, I've been in some kind of formal exercise. And I still paid for 10 one-to-one Reformer Pilates sessions. In fact, I had 12. And I got one next week because I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. I wanted to build my confidence. And I wanted to invest in myself. And I think a lot of people are so quick to walk away from the thing that they're actually fucking excellent at in the pursuit of more time flexibility. Well, here's the truth. You can also create that as a personal trainer if you add in leverage by adding in online coaching or adding in network marketing or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, like you always say, it doesn't have to be either or. You can do both. And I think with a lot of personal trainers as well, I would say, I'm just guesstimating here, and assuming, but most personal trainers that I speak to haven't always just done personal training. Like I worked a corporate job and did PT on the side, or there's a lot of personal trainers that would work at a gym and do a little bit of PT, but then at one point they actually left the work and just did the PT. So I'm like, you've already made that leap once to become a full-time personal trainer, because a lot of the time people probably did it in and around work, and they've already made that leap once. So I'm like, just do the same again and have them both run along at the same time. You'll find that, I think a lot of personal trainers, again, just an assumption, but from people that I speak to, are like, I'm just in the gym all the time, and they've like maybe fallen out of love with the personal training. But I think if you scale that back a little bit, put in the online coaching as well, like I said, there will be a busy period where you have to build your online coaching. Your PT's here, that's going to probably have to come up here, so then you can bring your PT down to sort of like level off, and then you will have a bit more time. I think you'll fall back in love with it again. I just think it's so, what's the word? Like you said, when you said people just go straight online and then sack off the PT, I feel like that's what got you to where you are. So don't always sack it off. It's like with training. People will be training for years and years and years and get to a certain point and then think, oh, I've got to try this new system. I've got to try this new style. And I'm like, but where you are now, you just did all the bread and butter. You did all the basics to get to where you are. Why do you have to start changing everything? You can add in bits.
Yeah, totally. Love that. So that was a question from my side. What questions did you go on your Instagram?
I had the same one.
Oh, no way. That's mental.
I had most questions were always about how did you go from busy PT gym floor to online?
Love
because
that.
I think I know that we've both done it.
Yeah, love that. So one of the other questions I got was around what are the strengths? What do we believe the strengths are in our relationship? Not this person giving an opinion. They were kind of like, what do you think the strengths are in your relationship? So I guess let you answer it first as my guest.
Strengths.
Yeah, like what are the things we've fucking nailed?
Leg press. Really, that's
in our relationship, not your relationship with fucking gym.
Do you know what I think it is? And why you said our relationship's unique? It's because we just talk a lot.
Yeah.
But all about good stuff.
Mainly my fault.
I listen a lot. No, but no, we do talk a lot, and we always say we almost wish our house had like cameras in the kitchen or something to just record all the
Honestly,
conversations.
I am way more funny when the camera's not on. I am so funny, it's actually outrageous. Okay, right, fine.
Tumbleweed moment.
What are the
Joking,
strengths?
joking.
What are our strengths?
Yeah, the fact that we just talk openly about everything. You'll always tell me how you're feeling. I always tell you how I'm feeling. Um, I think we help each other out back and forth, like business wise, because you've obviously done coaching before. Um, I'm no obviously don't do network marketing to the level that you do, but sometimes you sometimes just need an outside look on things when you're deep in it. You might just need a fresh set of eyes or a fresh set of ears. You might just need to speak out about something to actually get the own answer yourself. So I think one of our strengths is just talking a lot. When people say, "Oh, have you seen this on Netflix? Have you seen that?" I'm like, "No, not really." And they're like, "What do you do?" And we just talk. Like sometimes
Mm,
we'll have dinner and then just sit and talk, and we're like, "Jesus, look at the time." And we've been there for hours. I'd say that's our main strength, really, is just talking.
communication, yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah, because we
fact
don't
that
just talk for the sake of talking.
yeah, we actually talk
We
about
communicate.
yeah, we communicate. Yeah, that's what I say. Communication
Yeah,
is very good. I just think we work really well as a team. I
yeah.
think we have good banter. We've
We
got
love a bit of banter
a little
over
bit of
it.
bants. I say the fact that we just yeah, we're just really good friends as well.
Yeah.
We're just like
And we were friends before we got, so for people
yeah,
that don't know our background, we actually were, I mean, we weren't like besties, but we were like acquaintances, like mates that would could like hang out at an event or whatever before we got together. So it was like
we just sort of got each other.
yeah, we got how each other worked before we actually got together or started dating. And I think when we got together in quite an intense way, like things happen really, really fast. And
Mm.
I think sometimes you can either that can either burn out, or it can basically be a really solid foundation. And I think, we're 5 years in this November, the
Mhm.
day we get married. Um,
Yeah, I feel like this it just created a lot of momentum, which has just propelled forward continuously.
yeah. But because we worked on it, not
Yeah,
because, and this is what happens in business. Business is exactly the same. If you start a business and you run with momentum, like you're saying about people do, is they get somewhere and they go, oh, the thing is, if you create the momentum, you've got to find a way to sustain yourself
mhm.
so that you can sustain the momentum. So all that's happened in our relationship is it's still as fiery as it was, in fact, probably more than it was 5 years ago. And by that, I mean like passionate, fun, we're excited, we want to hang out all the time. People watching this from married 20 years, they'll be like, you just fucking wait. But 5 years, we're still as good as ever because I honestly think we've done the stuff to sustain ourselves. Like I have aggressively worked on myself the last 4 years. Like I am unrecognizable as a person. Like I change my hair all the time as well. But in all seriousness, like I am a very different human being. The same core qualities, the same fire, the same passion, but I've done all that inner work, and I think that's one of the things that you haven't done it in the same way that I have, but your growth has been so obvious to me. And I think one of our strengths is that we're both willing to do the work on ourselves
Yeah, 100%.
so our relationship can thrive. And I think one of the biggest things I see with a lot of my mindset coaching clients and a lot of the girls who I know through network marketing is sometimes they struggle. And I honestly believe it's because the desire in the relationship to grow is not mutual.
Yeah, a lot. I think we grow personally in ourselves at the same rate. Like we
Mm,
never got to outgrow each other. If you sort of like level up, I'll do the same. I think it's because we've both got our own personal goals that we're working towards as well.
yeah.
I think that's so important. I think a lot of the time people just have a shared goal. Well, sometimes they have their own individuals, but sometimes they don't have their own life going on. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I feel like we have our own things going on, and then that just comes together so well because I've got my thing, you've got your thing as well, and I think that's really important as well.
I mean, we don't have children, and we did a whole YouTube on this a couple of years ago. We're not planning to have biological children, so that's not something that we're is in the plan for us or on the cards for us. But we do have the three dogs, and they are a responsibility. And like right now, they look like the cutest things ever. They are literally two of them are asleep there, and the third one's asleep here.
You can just see it there. Look,
Yeah,
here he is.
and but there is a responsibility element there. But we're just like a tag team. Like we don't see it as like, oh, I've got to have them.
Yeah.
And you've got to have, like, for example, there's a weekend coming up where you've got a gym meet up with your clients on the Saturday.
Hmm.
And on the Sunday, I've got an event with my network marketing business, like a afternoon drinks party thing. And we're just like, cool, well, I'm out Saturday, I'm out Sunday. And then we just make sure that Friday night we spend together. Like, I think it's just, and I know that not everyone has the luxury of the life that we have in terms of the time flexibility, and we do see each other a lot, and we do have more financial flexibility than a lot of people. But I think it's remembering that we haven't always had that. Like,
Yeah,
Josh had a job for the first year and a half of our relationship, full-time job. I've worked some event projects. Like, I worked an event maternity contract because it's a job I actually left. And when both girls went on maternity, they said, "Can you come back?" I think I've talked about this. So I did a 2 6-month spurts over this event,
mm,
and I worked 12-hour days for like 3.5 months. It was mental on top of all the other things I do. And we still found a way to keep us where we are. So,
yeah. I also think one of our strengths as well, before I forget it, because I just thought of it, we just work really well. We're just so compatible in the sense that, like, you'll totally admit this, I'm way more chilled,
no,
like, way more,
fucking horizontal. Yeah.
everything's chill,
Laid back Larry over here.
everything's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. That kind of attitude. You're way more organized, strategic, like everything's on point, everything's like planned. Um, so I think you kind of instill that on me a little bit. So I'm a little bit more organized in my chilled
He's definitely
moments.
got better.
Um, and I'll chill you out a bit when sometimes, things get a bit too much.
Yeah, because the thing is, because obviously I've talked about this on the podcast a lot. Recently discovered I have ADHD. A lot of my, for anyone's thinking, Lucy's got ADHD, how the fuck is she organized? I created systems that have served me because without knowing I had ADHD, I was like, this isn't fucking getting me anywhere. Let's create some behaviors that serve me. So I, through my fixation, so if anyone's got ADHD, organization is one of my fixations. So what happens is when I go into a slightly more hyperactive phase through my hormone cycle, through whether I'm excited about stuff or whatever, organization, cleanliness, tidiness, all those things really matter to me. And then I will have days where I am literally a fucking clusterfuck. Like, there is no other word for it. It's like a bomb's gone off in the house, that like there's mess everywhere. I've got like 5 glasses, 2 cups, makeup brushes all over the getting ready room. My clothes are just strewn all over the floor. Like, it is wild. But on the whole, one of the things I have as a strength, which probably comes from working in events for so long, is a big vision. So I very much have like a bigger plan. Like, I know where we are every weekend for the next 8 weekends. I know the dog care is sorted for every event we have until the end of the year. Like, and I think that's a strength that served me. And even in my most clusterfucky times, I always go back to spending time to organize my life, because
Yeah.
when I don't, nothing fucking good happens.
Mm.
And for me, that's a strength that I have had to create. It's not something I was born with. Whereas you were definitely born laid back.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always been pretty laid back, to be fair.
Yeah.
Just chill, simple stuff. It works. Just do it. And that's everything.
So we had some other kind of questions, but they kind of were all connected to that one, really. So I would love to know what it's like to be around me with my around business. So when I'm like in the zone, whether it's about, and it might not be about business, it might be about a certain topic, or are you too hot? I'm gonna go this way. Ooh. It might be about a certain topic, it might be about, like, when I'm in the flow, shall we call it,
Yeah.
what's that like to be around in a close proximity? Because I think a lot of people are interested because they see it on Instagram, they see me like at an event, speak on a big stage, but what's that like to live with that? Because that happens not just when I'm on a stage, does it? That's like an every other day, every day
Yeah.
scenario. Yeah.
It's wicked because I I really like seeing people do well. I
Yeah.
just like, I love watching success stories on like Netflix, or Amazon Prime, whatever it is you're watching on. I love seeing documentaries, success stories, and you just get that, yes, a sense of achievement for someone else. I love that. So to actually be with you and actually see it firsthand, of like when you're in that zone, it's like it's what I would call it if I was in my zone and like prepping for a show. I'm just like so in it. It's just what I call like just a champion's mindset. It's just like so channeled, but it's almost like effortlessly, because when you really know what you want, like when you do, and you just see it, I can see you see it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's just an energy thing. Like when you're in that sort of state are in that zone, if I'm just like sat eating my dinner or whatever, and you walk in, I know that you're like on it, and it makes me level up as well.
Yeah.
Because when you're like that, I'm like, cool. I'm just going to kind of sort of match where you're at and do my thing, and I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go for it. Um,
Whereas
but
I see
then,
Josh in the gym and I'm like, oh, making me tired. I'm like, you're making me knackered.
I'll be completely honest. There is sometimes that when you're like that, and I'm like, you need to sit down, and that's not just because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, just chill out, lay back, it's all right. I'm like, yeah, fucking smash what you're doing, but you keep at that rate for the next 3 or 4 weeks. There's going to be a point where you're going to have a week off because you're absolutely wiped.
Because again, for anyone who doesn't know about ADHD, we tend to create hyperactivity and fixation and often leads to burnout. And so this is something that even in the time Josh and I've been together, I've had 2 full breakdowns
Mhm.
and 2 really serious bouts of like a nervous system shutdown, is the only way I could describe it. And because I get so hyper fixated that I can't stop. And that is it's connected to a lot of emotional trauma that I've now healed. So I'm actually confident that some of that emotional trauma that's been released,
Yeah,
that kind of over fixation will only come about positive things, and I'll be able to put a positive break on because it's a pause, not a break.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that took fucking work, by the way. So I wanted to talk to you about, ask you a question about what it was like to.
I was also going to say,
Oh, go on then.
you've also got to be a very good listener.
To be with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you're in
Well, that
that,
was actually connected to my next question. So
yeah,
yeah,
got to be a very good listener. I feel like I am.
you are a great listener. Yeah. But also we've got that kind of banter that we can kind of, unless it's a really important statement, because both of us are quite forgetful, like we kind of can chat back and forth and talk over each other, and it's not like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Unless I really want to say something, and then I get really mad. But I was gonna ask what it's like to, what it was like to be with me when things weren't as rosy, when I was struggling, when I was going through a lot, which I've had phases over the last 4 years where there's been a lot, like a lot to deal with emotionally, a lot to deal with from my past,
Mhm.
as most of us have to deal with, and some of us are willing to do the work and some of us aren't. That's the truth. So I guess, what was it like to be with someone who was really deep in that work? Because, we had a lot of difficult conversations.
Yeah,
So I guess I'm just keen to, and by the way, we've never actually had this conversation, so this is an exclusive.
we haven't
Um,
actually.
what was it like to be with some, maybe not specific to me, what was it like to be with someone who's really doing that work?
It's it was hard. Yeah, it's definitely hard at times. Um, because like I say, I love seeing people, not even people I care about. To be fair, like I said, I just love watching success stories. But then also on the opposite side of that, to watch someone you care about so much having a difficult time, it's really fucking hard.
Mm.
Especially when I directly can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do. That's all work you've got to do. So you just get this sense of like, I just wish I could do something, or so it was really hard, to be honest. But I just was like, well, if I make sure I'm 100%, and I think this is what a lot of people don't do
Mm.
when, say, their partner, wife, whatever, someone they care about, girlfriend, whatever, even best friend, if they're not feeling 100% or not their best and doing work on themselves or in a little bit of a difficult place, the other person would tend to try too hard to make them feel better,
Yeah.
and then in turn they would feel like crap. Whereas I was like, right, okay, I need to make sure I'm 100% so you can get 100% of me. So I'm still going to go train. That makes me feel wicked. I'm still going to do what I do. I'm still going to eat my food. I'm still going to do all my work. I'm going to almost be selfish and put me first. So then you can get 100% of me. Because if I'm feeling like crap or I'm missing my sessions because I'm trying to be there, but I can't really do anything, I'm not 100%, and then you might try and have a conversation with me, but I then feel like crap. I think that's just a whole downward spiral. So I always thought to myself, I was like, right, just be almost selfish in this scenario and do everything I can to make me 100%, and make sure I'm always feeling good. So then you're in a good energy space. Because if I'm feeling good and I'm in a good energy space, naturally, this is what I was hoping and sort of hope
Mm.
rolled out. When you're around somebody like that, it's hard to not kind of match that vibe and sort of be in that space. And I just, I'd always like try and ask you questions that I knew you already knew the answer to, but just needed to say it
Mm.
and not try and think about it too much. So I just like, yeah, I'll just do that really.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it happens so much that a lot of people need other people to be okay for them to be okay.
Yeah.
So it's called fawning. It's basically when we adjust our behavior based on the environment because we're sensitive. And I used to be this person. So I used to, and it's very common if you've a sensitive child, like if you grew up, like this with ADHD or an ADHD parent or anything like that, it's very likely that you grew up trying, like I've been a peacekeeper my whole life. Like my goal is just keep the peace, keep the peace, keep the peace, keep the peace, keep the peace. And I've kind of grown through that now. And I'm okay with conflict. I'm okay with divisiveness. I'm okay with, because I don't need other people to feel happy or be a certain way for me to be okay. But there was parts of when I was doing this work where I was really on my knees, and we were talking about this in the car earlier, weren't we? Like nobody has a fucking clue some of the stuff that I had to deal with and go through. But I didn't fucking quit. I was like, I'm not fucking quitting on anything. My business, my social media, my life, my anything. It took time for me for sure. But I think when you're in that state, if people around you modulate their behavior to you or they need you to be okay, what you actually do is you put so much pressure on the person healing
That's so pressure.
that that person feels so much shame and guilt that they actually can't heal. Because if you had needed me to be my fullest, my 100% self when I was fucking running at 50%,
Just for me to be
for
okay.
you to be okay, I would have then given more to you and I'd have been running at 25%. And this is where burnout, relationships break down. And a lot of people modulate their behavior based on others. And one of the strongest things, and this is one of our successes in our relationship, is absolutely we co-regulate on things that are relevant to each other. Like Josh can read me a mile off, like, is it fun time? No, it's not fun time. Okay, cool. Like, that's a co-regulation thing, right? But I have learned to self-regulate when it comes to business, when it comes to, I don't know, fucking anything, algorithms, like whatever it is we're talking about, you do you and I do me. And that was one thing that I found hard when I was healing, is that I couldn't do me. I was fucking all over the shop. So the fact that you were you, regulating you, was a model and an example. And based on the fact all of us model, guys, we do it all the time. I had a good example to model from. So if you've got someone in your life right now that is struggling, going through something, finding something hard, just be the fucking pillar of strength. And the way you be the pillar of strength is just like Josh said, do the things for you that regulate you, that fill you up, that, because as the saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so you can't support, love and nourish someone if you're not taking care of yourself. Like we were talking about this the other day, weren't we, with your clients, actually just talking about clients in general, and how sometimes training and nutrition and sleep and all that goes fucking way off plan because there's something happening.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something fucking happening.
I did this on my story the other day, actually.
Yeah, go for
I was
it.
like, life is always going to happen, as in good things, bad things, mediocre things, whatever it is. There's always going to be something. At some point, you're going to move house. You're going to have a loss in your family. You might have a loss of one of your pets. Jesus Christ.
Babe, don't even.
But like, or you might go out for a meal and you could just throw everything down the shitter and eat loads of crap if you've got a physique goal. Think car breaks down, it's going to cost money, holiday gets cancelled, all these things are going to happen forever, like indefinitely. So there's never a perfect time to do anything. So, and this is what I was talking about, just in general. It literally is not anybody in particular that like triggered this or anything, but I was just talking, there's never going to be a perfect time to do anything. So just always do the best you can in that moment all the time, and it'll always be enough. You can never do more than your best. But I think people need to be honest with themselves at what is their best. I think a lot of the time they're like, "Oh, I'm moving house. There's so much to do. We've got to move all the boxes." And when we moved in here, like we put all the stuff in, I was like, "Cool, boxes are in. Going to go train."
And I was like, I'm gonna have a cup of tea and sit down
Yeah,
and check some stuff on business.
I was like, I'm going to go to the gym. When I get back, these boxes are still going to be here. And there's like loads to do. When people say, "Oh, just working all week and then the house is a mess, so I've got to clean it all weekend." There's always time. I'm not saying just go to the gym. This is what I do. But if there's something you like doing or want to do that makes you feel good, there is always time to do it. Always.
Yeah.
There actually is. When people say they don't have the time, I guarantee there's a time. You'll
because
just
you can't afford not to do it.
yeah. There's no you can't afford not to do it. You can't afford to just feel like crap all the time. It's just like I don't know why anybody would want to do that. And it honestly is as easy as making the decision. You literally just decide, go, I don't want to feel like crap. What makes me feel good? Wicked. I'm going to go do that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's one of the strengths of us is that I have learned to self-regulate myself on things dependent on me. And as we grow as a couple, we've learned to co-regulate
Mm.
when it's something we need to co-regulate on. And then we're like, okay, cool, that's not something actually I need to regulate on. Like there was a time where, because Josh is actually a really happy person 95% of the time. So when he's not, sometimes it does trigger in me like, oh my God, why not? What's going on? Like it's a big deal because like I can go from 0 to 99% mad in like 20 seconds, but I can also then go, oh, actually, no, I'm not really bothered about that 20 seconds later. Like I go up and down the scale like this, again, potentially an ADHD thing, but Josh doesn't really move the scale. And if you do move the scale, it's fucking noticeable. So I used to find it really stressful because I was sensitive and hadn't regulated myself. When you went to 95% mad about something,
Mm.
I used to basically make that all about me.
Just be like, what the fuck's going on?
I used to totally project on me, like, oh my God, what have I done? Is it because I didn't do this? And it's mental. And we will always do that. We will always find a way to shame or blame ourselves when we're not regulating ourselves, because then we need other people to behave a certain way. But if you need your environment to change for you to feel different, you will always be limited by your environment. And what we've got to become, whether you want to be successful in business or your relationship or life, is you've got to be stronger than your environment. And that includes the people in it.
Yeah.
Okay, babe. So
I also just want to say one thing about making yourself 100%. I think a lot of people would feel guilty. Like, say, for example, I don't know, you're having a bad day and, you're upset about something or angry about something, whatever it is. And I'm like, right, I'm going to go gym. I think a lot of people would probably feel guilty the fact that they're going out and doing something that they want to do and making themselves feel good. I'm like, don't feel guilty about that because if you don't go, like I said, if it has an effect on you mentally where you actually feel worse for not doing it, but you feel guilty for going, you need to really like sort that shit out. Like I said, just look after number one. Honestly, it's like the whole saying, like when you're in an airplane, the oxygen mask comes down. They say put yours on first before your child's. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, of course. If you're fit and healthy and safe and well, you can help other people.
yeah. And actually, on that children front, like we don't have kids, and so we don't profess to know what it's like to be a parent in any sense of the word. But one of the things that I think we're both really passionate about is the fact that some of our strengths we have modeled from our parents, but also some of the things that we've had to overcome have been modeled from our parents. And what parents must know from a pure psychological perspective is we will always model what our parents do, not what they say. More is caught than taught. So if you want your children to grow up healthy and fit and well and confident and positive, you need to be a model of healthy, confident, fit, well, and positive. You can't tell them to eat their greens and then they watch you chug back half a bottle of wine. Like
It's
you
like
will be surprised by what kids remember and absorb.
it's like with coaching. I
Yeah.
couldn't try and help people to get in wicked shape and say, right, go do this cardio, eat this food, do this training, read these books, and I promise you, you're going to like this. If I didn't even do any of that myself, if I didn't go to the gym and I was completely out of shape, like people are going to they're not going to do what I say.
No, because more is caught than taught. Because people model, that's what we do. And that's where in a relationship, if right now, and I think one of the things comes up a lot, we used to come up a lot with me with prep clients and also comes up in business, is when one person's striving for a goal or driving for something, the other person doesn't get it or is not passionate about it. Just know that when you continue to pursue the behavior, they will eventually model you, or, and I hate to fucking say it will fall away.
Yep.
There is no other option. They will either get on board or they will get off the fucking train.
Seen it loads.
Same. I mean, it happened to me. So just know that, as awful as that sounds, if the thing that you're pursuing, whether it's a fitness goal, a business goal, or whatever, feels like a true, absolute representation of you, keep fucking going, because actually, it's not to be dismissive of the person you're with. Like, be understanding. But I just think the world needs more people who are in love with what they do and in love with themselves. Because if we were all in love with ourselves, we wouldn't feel the need. So you can hear the dog's drinking water.
Yeah, sorry about that. The dog's just lapping away at some.
It's bloody boiling.
Getting some hydration in.
But
good old dog.
If everyone was in love with themselves, they wouldn't feel the need to pull other people down. If everybody believed in themselves, they wouldn't feel the need to be negative or blame or complain about other people as much as they do, and the world we live in would be a happier place. But it's just that people do not do the inner work. They don't put themselves first. By giving yourselves first, you give yourself the tools to overflow, whether that's as a parent or in a partnership. Love it. Anything you wanted to ask me before we close it out?
How excited are you to get married to me?
Ah, that's a good question, isn't it? Fucking buzzing, babes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's going to be wicked.
4 months to go at the time of recording. So
See, yeah, all right. And I just want to switch that question around. So you asked me, what's it like being with you when you're in that sort of energy space? What's it like being with me? Not just like, you know, the food. That's annoying.
yeah.
But what else? What's it like when I'm prepping for a show? Or what's it like when, like more clients are signed up and I'm buzzing? Or, or am I just in a constant state of the same?
You're the same. I mean, when you're in prep, you're different.
Yeah.
But that's just science. Like, you're scientifically consuming less calories, therefore you have less energy. Like,
Yeah.
you just go more quiet and you become a bit more subdued. And again, the previous very sensitive version of me would have wanted to understand why you were quiet, would have wanted to understand, why are you quiet? Is it because you're tired? Are you hungry? Can I get you anything? Is it because I would have needed you to be okay, to be you? But now that I'm like regulated, I'm like, if he's having a bad fucking day, that ain't on me.
And a lot of people always say that when I'm in prep, they go, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I don't say anything. I just go, "Yeah." I'm just quiet. I'm just like, I'm just doing my thing. But I always think that's usually how I go in prep. I'm just quiet. And I think, like I say, I think it's noticeable because I'm usually like the same sort of level. Do you
Yeah.
not think I like level up for anything or level down? Do you think I'm just sort of
No,
kind
you're
of
relatively the same.
constantly on the same?
Oh, that's the dog. Come on then. Come on then, pups. You can do it.
Trying to jump up. Come on, Joey.
Come on, pups.
Let's go.
There
There
he
we
is,
go.
wiggly worm. I think your tolerance for a lot of things goes down when you're in prep.
Oh yeah.
So let's say we had to go to an event that you weren't particularly enthralled to be at.
Yeah.
You going in prep is a terrible fucking idea. I will never invite you again.
Yep.
So basically, that's about it. But otherwise, being with you is just like, generally, Josh is like a kid in a sweet shop. You're happy about everything. You're excited about love. He also loves food so much that when he eats, so I do a happy dance when I eat like a particular meal.
I literally bounce up and down.
Like, he literally sits on the chat and he's eating chicken and fucking rice. Like, it's mad. Oh, look, Jerry, do you want to say hi to everybody? Look how cute the Barbie one is. All those massive, look at him.
It's a little chunk.
There you go. More meals, snoozing.
It's on a good diet, that's why.
On a good diet. Love it. I think that's it. Let's wrap it there.
Wicked.
Amazing. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. I'd love to do it again. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Love you all so much.
Listen more.
Thanks for joining me. This was the way that we see it on this week's episode, and I'll see you on next week.